The Pacific stretched in every direction, its surface broken only by the rhythmic swell.
The mothership, Salvator Maris, was a veteran of the world's harshest marine environments.
Her deck was a small town of welded steel, humming with the constant thrum of generators.
Behind her, the crew moved with practiced efficiency. No one spoke unnecessarily. 3 weeks earlier, a typhoon claimed 16 classified containers, sending them to the ocean floor 4 miles down.
3 previous dives had found nothing. Each failure added weight to the growing sense of loss.
But this morning, the sonar found something. An anomaly with edges too regular to be natural.
Vance studied the returns until her eyes burned. It was enough to justify one more descent.
Its viewport was engineered to withstand pressures that would crush steel like paper.
Inside, 3 people would spend 12 hours in a space barely larger than a walk-in closet.
They strapped in, the interior lit by red LEDs that gave the cramped space the quality of a womb. Chen ran through the electrical systems, his understanding of mechanics bordering on the supernatural.
The hatch sealed, locking them into their self-contained world. The crane took the weight of the 17-ton submersible. Then, they were airborne. Through the cameras, an elderly African-American male, Vance, watched the deck fall away, replaced by the ocean. They were free, floating. A world separate from the ship above.
Vance triggered the ballast tanks. The descent began.
The water changed color as they descended, each shade marking another 200 feet. In the darkness, the sonar painted its own picture. The pressure gauges climbed steadily.
They passed through a layer of bioluminescence so dense it looked like falling through a galaxy.
A Humboldt squid watched them with alien intelligence before vanishing into the black.
The hull creaked softly, a conversation between metal and the deep.
They entered the twilight zone, where sunlight became theoretical rather than actual.
Hatchetfish glowed to match the dim light from above, an evolutionary disguise.
A gulper eel drifted past, a stomach waiting in the darkness for prey. Suddenly, the water became a theater of suspended particles, an endless blizzard.
The sonar showed the bottom approaching. Chen monitored the thrusters, ready. Their first deep-sea denizen, a tripod fish, standing above the sediment with ancient patience.
Tanaka documented the species, adding to a database of the unknown.
They hovered above the abyssal plain. Beyond their lights, only the sonar could see. The search began. Hours compressed into a meditative routine of watch, check, and adjust. A whale fall, an entire ecosystem based on death, thriving in a place of scarcity.
The sonar found something. Multiple objects. Their shapes were angular, artificial.
Vance altered course. The distance closed. 50 meters. The lights found them. Cargo containers rose from the darkness like buildings.
Their steel was intact. Stenciled markings were faded but legible. But their contents remained a secret. Chen deployed the manipulator arms. The recovery operation required precision and patience.
The plan: attach lifting cables sent down from the ship above.
Each movement was deliberate, calculated to avoid fouling the cable in the darkness.
Chen positioned the shackle, threading the pin through with surprising delicacy.
2 hours to secure 4 points. Another hour to inspect the work. Every connection was critical.
Vance activated the acoustic comms. A signal traveled to the ship 4 miles above.
On the surface, the deck crew received the message. The winches began to turn.
The submersible backed away. The cables tightened, lifting from the bottom.
The ascent was glacial. 50 feet per minute through water that fought every inch.
Something massive moved in the darkness. A sperm whale, perhaps, on its own deep dive.
Chen reported the first signs of battery depletion. The margin for error was narrowing.
At 5,000 feet, the faintest blue glow penetrated from the world above.
They entered the zone of scattered light. The temperature rose. Life returned.
Vance shut down the external lights. The natural light was sufficient now, and bright after such long darkness. The container broke the surface first, emerging into air and sunlight. The submersible surfaced 200 meters away, a cork on the vast ocean. The crane lifted them from the water, returning them to the world of sky and ship. Lowered into the deployment cradle, the hatch unsealed. Fresh air flooded in. Captain Rodriguez inspected their prize, his eyes revealing a deep satisfaction.
The crew gathered in silent acknowledgement. They had gone into the hostile deep and returned with what was lost.
The second container showed damage. Its side was torn, a wound from the violent journey down.
They cleared sediment, revealing the door seals. No visible damage, a small victory.
They sat in utter darkness, their world reduced to sound and the beating of their own hearts.
The shape on sonar drew closer. It was investigating the containers, or the strange, glowing plume.
A representation through the water, a deep, probing
The creature moved off, its interest seemingly drawn by the luminescent contamination.
The immediate threat had passed. But the incident was a stark reminder. They were visitors here.
Their mission was now reconnaissance. They would mark the intact containers for a later, safer recovery.
Chen secured a beacon. It would ping for years, a homing signal in the darkness. A second beacon was placed. 2 containers, preserved and waiting.
They documented the breach thoroughly. This data would be crucial for science, for containment.
With their task complete, they initiated the long ascent, leaving the problem, for now, in the deep.
The journey up was a time for reflection. They had recovered a mystery and unleashed another.
The dancing lights of plankton now seemed fragile, an ecosystem potentially at risk.
The Salvator Maris turned for home. Their part in the story was complete, yet the story in the deep continued without them.
On the surface, a ship sailed home. 4 miles below,
The team reunited, not as salvers, but as investigators. The weight of the deep now held a different kind of pull.
Their new vessel was a floating laboratory designed to answer the questions their first mission had raised.
The descent was familiar, yet charged with new purpose. They were returning to a place they had changed. The beacons greeted them, steady pulses in the darkness. The containers stood as they had left them.
As they approached, the light reacted. The pulses quickened, flowing toward them. It was aware of their intrusion.
Tanaka's sonar lit up. Multiple large life forms were converging on their position, drawn by the signal.